look very French with your scarf on.
Well, thank you very much. We're on the air. Okay. Hi, this is Peter Brusso for 101 Small Business Mastermind. And with us today, we've got Richard Bentley. Say good morning, Dick.
Good morning, Dick.
And Frank. Say good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Dick, and good morning, Frank.
Okay, good. All right. So we're starting the new year. Happy New Year to everybody. And it's cold out here, so I have my scarf on. And so the thing we want to talk about today, I'm going to punt right into Frank's block segment of the twin, but we want to come on the backside, and then Dick's going to talk about some entrepreneurial stuff and the Legal Shield app, and then we want to open up the discussion to what we got to do for our websites in 2015, which is the important part. So, all right, Frank, let's take our twin away. Do I hear some ticker tape there, Frank?
Yes, you will. In about 22 seconds, you will have, as soon as I should have had it loaded, and I didn't, but there it is, there it is. All right, this week's twin, this week in the news, headline Small Business Lessons. This week's twin is, hey, Veronica Scott, thank you for the small business lessons. Who is Veronica Scott? I'm glad you asked. She's now 24 years old. She was born in Orange, California, a local girl, but grew up in New Jersey. And she attended a college in Detroit, and her major was industrial design. I don't know where she was going to go with this, but in 2010, so you know, she's relatively new, she had a class assignment like a lot of colleges do, which I think is a great idea. Her professor said, design something to fill a need. Detroit need. Veronica said, I got it. She went and researched the homeless community in Detroit. Okay, and there's a lot of homeless people. The last census, there were 20,000 homeless people in Detroit alone, and those are just the ones they counted.
Is that right?
Wow. 20,000. And she explained that there's an estimate of 3.5 million people homeless in the United States. So Veronica was looking, and her big moment came when she saw a playground 20 feet away from a homeless shelter, and people had converted this playground into a home that they could live in. And she said, why would somebody sleep on a playground with a converted lean-to when there was a shelter, a free shelter, a place where they could walk in and sit for hours during the worst of the weather, and it's only 20 feet away? And she says, and it hit her. She said, like everyone else, most people who live on the streets have pride in themselves, and they do desire independence. They are where they are because of circumstances, some of them under their control, where they made the wrong decisions, some of them out of their control. And they don't want to have to depend on anyone else for their well-being. So Veronica said, I'm going to fill a need. She designed a coat, a nice winter coat, heat-keeping winter coat, that in the evening could open up and double as a sleeping bag for Detroit's homeless. For those that didn't want to go to a shelter or couldn't go to a shelter because it was full, they had this coat that kept them warm. At night, they opened up with the slaps and everything, and it was a heat-keeping, waterproof coat that would turn into a sleeping bag. And she said, this is really cool. So she said, I'm going to form a company. And she called the company the Empowerment Plan, TEP, to manufacture these coats for the homeless. And she was feeling really good about herself until she had one conversation that changed her life forever. She went up to this woman who was homeless, and she offered her a coat. She offered her a coat. And the woman said, I don't need a coat. She says, I need a job. Do you have a job for me? And it was that point that Veronica Scott said, I'm going to hire the homeless people to work for my company. And that's exactly what she did. Every person that Veronica hires is a single parent who, at the time she hires them, is homeless. Let me tell you a story about one of them. Her name is Taya, T-E-I-A, Taya Sams. She is now a seamstress making these coats at the company called the Empowerment Plan, which, by the way, is a 501c3. And they interviewed her, and they says, you know what? I love my job. I love what I do, and I love my boss, who was Veronica. She said, it is great. And listen to this success. In 3 months, Taya Sams has gone from living in a shelter or on the street in Detroit. She now has her own house, which she rents, and she got all of her kids back, and they're now living with her again. That's a success story. Veronica says, and she was quoted in a magazine, she said, because I found the right people, which was the homeless people. I mean, how many people go out and look for hire homeless people, right? They proved that this model can exist and that it works, and that her idea just wasn't a nice idea. It was a profitable, transforming idea. The Empowerment Plan, Veronica's company, employs formerly homeless women, they're all women, and she trains them how to produce the coat. She now has 10 women on her staff, and all of them are able to acquire housing, which is really important, after receiving a job and training on her company. Veronica aims to make more than 4,000 coats this year. 4,000. And she was inspired. I don't know if you know about Tom's Shoes. They have a one-for-one model. At Tom's Shoes, whenever you buy a pair of shoes from Tom's, they donate a pair of shoes to poor people in Guatemala and Central America. And Veronica's company, her company plans, she aims to donate a free coat for every coat that is purchased for her company. Okay. Veronica, known as the crazy coat lady, you know how we all hate tags? She is now one of the number of young entrepreneurs in the Detroit area building businesses to help solve Detroit's social problems. And I say thank you, Veronica Scott. That is one. And by the way, this story was given to me by Dick. So Dick, I thank you for the link. It was a great story. So I looked at this and I says, okay, you know, because it's going to be small business lessons. And I come up with 3 small business lessons that Veronica Scott used that I think everyone on this podcast and everyone who's going to watch this or listen to this needs. Lesson number 1. Excuse me. Veronica Scott saw a need that needed to be filled. That was a charge from a professor. She manufactured coats for the homeless. What need is your company filling as a small business owner? If you're not filling a need, there's not going to be a demand. What need is your company filling? Small business lesson number 2. Veronica Scott has a story to tell about why her company exists. And her story is that makeshift home on a playground within 20 feet of a homeless shelter, the lesson she learned. What is the story about why your company exists? What is the story about why your company exists? And lesson number 3, which I think is the most critical, Veronica Scott doesn't sell coats. Veronica Scott doesn't give, that's not her business. Her business is transforming her clients' lives. Just like the story of the seamstress Taya, who was able to get her respect and her children back. That's what Veronica Scott delivers. Whose life, whose business does your company transform? Figure that out, promote that, and people will flock to you because they want to be part of your story. Just like Tom's Shoes and Veronica Scott's The Empowerment Plan. And gentlemen, that is my twin for this week. Thank you.
Frank, can you send me a synopsis of that too?
Sure. Yeah, I have my notes. I will gladly send that to you. Absolutely.
Okay, great. And does she have a website and everything?
Yes, she does. Yeah, matter of fact, if you go on her website, she is now being sponsored, and she again 501c3. Obviously, she's a nonprofit, but the Gap and other major companies are now sponsoring. They want to be part of his story. She's not going out looking for money. She's attracting money, and people asking her, "Will you take my donation?" Because of her story, because of her goal, and because of the life she's transforming. Now, none of us here are working with the homeless, but all of us, and I know what the three of us do, what we're doing, what we plan on doing, is transforming the lives of our clients and their businesses. Whether it's protection with the legal stuff, the stuff that you do, and the stuff that I do. It comes down. There's a guy named Simon Sinek who wrote a book called The Why, about why you do business. People are no longer, unless you're an Apple or a Tesla, impressed with the bells and whistles. But if you're doing stuff, why do you do what you do? And if it's something I believe in, I don't mind paying a little more if I feel good after doing business. Tom's shoes, for example. People love to buy Tom's shoes because they know that another pair of shoes is being donated because of their purchase. And it's the same with Veronica Scott. I'll tell you, again, I tend to talk about younger people, except when I talked about John Scully a couple months ago. We have so much to learn, us three fat old white guys. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk about people who inspire me, and they're under 30. And the three of us are not too old to learn and get motivated.
Frank, when I read that initially, I was back in Connecticut in my underground basement hideout there, and the bunker. Yeah, what struck me about that, and I think this is another lesson, another item you could tag on to small business lessons, is what that showed is what Veronica was originally doing is she was applying a Band-Aid to a problem, and what the homeless person told her is, I need a solution to my problem, not a Band-Aid. And there's so many lessons in life where people, instead of going after what is the root cause of the fact that this person is homeless, they say, okay, I'll give you a meal, which is great. But you have to go on and say, how do I help these people? Right? This lady opened it up and said, hey, my problem is I need a job. Thanks for the coat, but I need a job, and then I'll get my own coat. So that's what I took out of it. As a business owner, I think if you're having issues, you have to look at what's causing the issues, not apply a Band-Aid to it. So that would be another item I'd throw on there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the way I had that explained to me at one time, not with Veronica, another one, is that the people we want to help, most of them don't want a handout.
Right.
They want a hand up.
Right.
And that's what Veronica did with this lady.
Right.
That's what, and I agree, and I think that is a great, and you're right, and it applies to us.
Right.
Most of us apply Band-Aids.
Right.
As opposed to coming up with the real. Cool, very cool.
Well, it's just taken to my personal life. We had talked earlier in the green room. I'm a type 2 diabetic, and I take my pills to control my blood sugar level. That to me is a Band-Aid. I know if I lost 20 pounds and exercise more, I wouldn't need the pills. So I think in everything you do in life, you have to look at how do you really fix the problem instead of just applying a Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I'll weigh in if we don't do the best we can do for our companies, they're going to be homeless. We'll be homeless too.
That's right. So.
You got that right.
Yeah.
You got to keep that going. But well, good. All right, Dick. Let's punt over into your stuff. You have an entrepreneurial thing and then an app to talk about.
Right. Okay, let me talk. It kind of almost follows a little bit in the vein of what Frank was talking about. But these people aren't homeless. As we go into the new year, and we're going to talk later about what you should do. Review your websites off the new year. But Jim Rome is a multi-millionaire, and he's made it all from network marketing. And I was just listening to a tape of his the other day, just getting myself rebooted for the new year, and he said when he first started a business, someone asked him, "What are your goals?" And the guy said, "I don't have any goals." And so the guy said to him, "Listen, I can tell you, I can probably guess your how much money you have in your bank account doing the fact that you don't have goals." And so he went on, and it's about goal setting and all that. So as I got to thinking about that for today, and I'm sure every business is starting, either has resolutions or a new business plan or new this or new that, goals. And I think one of the missing elements in the goal setting is your employees. Now, some of us like me, I don't have any employees now. I used to have a bunch of them. But if you have 2 employees, 1 employee, 3 employees, I think training your employees should be part of your New Year's resolution. And I think it's very important because they represent you. When they go out in front of that customer, that's what the customer thinks of you and your company. If they represent it professionally and know what they're talking about, your chance of obtaining this as a client is great. So I'm just going to give 2 examples of 2 very successful people of what to show just a commitment to the employees and the training they have. The first one is Starbucks. Howard Schultz was the CEO and the founder and all, and he got out of the business, and then the economy went south, and he had to come back in. He said, McDonald's was taking shots at him about the price of their coffee. A lot of people were doing that. Gas prices were over $5 a gallon, so people weren't going out weekends, which is their busiest time. And he said they had become an example of excess spending, excess people, the whole thing. So he came back, and the interviewer said, ask him what did he do when he came back. He said there are a number of things they did perhaps a new CEO couldn't have done because he wouldn't have had the license I had. For example, listen to this. I shut our stores for 3.5 hours of retraining. People said, how much is it going to cost you? And I had a shareholder screaming at me, out of your mind. And his answer was, I am doing the right thing. We are retraining our people because we have forgotten what we stand for. I mean, just imagine how much it costs to shut down every Starbucks in the world for 3.5 hours for the retraining. And just imagine how much money he's going to make because he did it. So that to me is a major commitment to training your people. Let them know what you stand for. Let them know what the story, like you talked about, Frank, of your business is, and getting them back to the original culture of Starbucks. I'm not a coffee drinker, and I don't go into Starbucks very often, but I know a lot of people do, and they just love it. It's an experience. It's not a coffee shop. Okay, the second one is a gentleman that I've been following for years, Herb Kelleher. He was the founder of Southwest Airlines. Now, when I was working, I used to spend a lot of time in Texas, and within Texas, Southwest, when they first started, that was their charter. They only flew within the state of Texas, and that's all they could do. And I remember reading about why he started the business, and he was talking about it, and he said, well, how are you going to compete with the other airlines? And he says, I'm not competing with the airlines, I'm competing with the automobile. And the person said, what do you mean? He said, well, I have to make it cheaper for someone to drive from Dallas to Austin on my airplane than it is to drive. And that's how he started his whole low-cost airline, which in a lot of ways has revolutionized the airline industry. Some good and some, in my opinion, not great, but it's good. But here's his philosophy on employees. He says, yeah, we did have a different take, as a matter of fact, and that was that the employees came first. I read this, I was shocked. I mean, I've always been a customer comes first type of guy, right? He says, employees come first, customers second, shareholders third. If the employees serve the customer well, the customer comes back, and that's what makes the shareholders happy. It's simple. It's not a conflict. It's a chain. If you treat the employees well, if you care for them, if you value them as people, if you give them satisfaction in their jobs, they will really do a great job for the customers. The customers will come back, which will be good for the shareholders. Most companies don't operate that way, so we turn the pyramid upside down, in effect, and said the employees come first, and they always have, not just in our minds, but in our hearts as well. Now, I know for a fact that Southwest is I'm not sure how 25, 30 years in business has never laid off an employee. Never. In an airline industry that went through some trauma, that's amazing. And I believe they've only had one unprofitable quarter in their whole existence, and maybe it was 2, but I think there's only 1. And you could fly from Dallas to Austin or Houston for $49, and they made money at it. So I think as you're starting the year and you're looking at your business, looking at your plans, put together a program to make sure your employees feel they're part of the program, they know the story, they know what they have to do, and they can go out and represent you well. And I love that chain. If you treat the employees well, the customers will be happy, they'll come back, and the shareholders will be happy. And, you know, just reading this the other day, it kind of triggered a lot of things in my mind that I think are very good. That's kind of the end of my story here. So.
All right. You know, Frank, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah. I've been visiting Starbucks since I can remember. You know, obviously when they became popular, I was a tag along. Yeah, I wanted to see what it was all about, and I thought he was stupid. Who the heck would pay? And this at the time was $2 for a cup of coffee when you could go into a gas station and pay a quarter. That made no sense at all. Okay. But then he wasn't selling coffee; he was selling the experience. And I read his book and so forth. And I love that. So thank you for bringing it up there, because I love. They forgot when he left. They brought in a professional manager. You and I have dealt with those before, Dick.
Yeah.
Those professional managers who go by numbers as opposed to by experience. And they did some stuff, and he had to go back. And I also flew Southwest when I had to, because I hated the fact I couldn't have a reserved seat. And I refused to rush in and push old ladies around so I could get that aisle seat. You know, so I hated them, but I loved their employees.
Right.
I love when they would do the safety thing with the buckles, that type of thing.
Yeah.
They made fun, and it was enjoyable to fly with them. I just didn't like not having the reserved seating. So I think there's two great lessons there. You know, whether you have employees or not, we have a fractured tail. Can we do a fractured tail right now, there, Mr. Peter?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My in-laws just moved out here to Sun City, you know, where I live here in the valley, Coachella Valley, and we only have one newspaper, and it's a bad story, so I'm not going to tell you their name, but they're in the desert, and you know what rises every morning. But I'm not going to say the name. Anyway. And we subscribe on weekends. And my mother-in-law says, "Oh, I love this paper." So my father says, "Okay." So they moved in, and he called. And he said, "It would just be the week of Christmas week." And he says, "Yeah, we'd like to have the paper delivered." And the girl who answered said, "Have you gone online?" You know, with a little bit of an attitude. And he said, "Yeah, your website is down." "Oh, okay. Well, that happens a lot. Well, we're busy right now. Can you call back later?"
What?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Whoa. Wait a minute.
Wow.
Wait a minute. It gets worse. The next day he calls. The same girl answered. My guess is the regular people were on vacation because it was Christmas week. "Hi, yeah." And she says, "Oh, yeah." I says, "Well, I live here in Sun City. I'm not sure we delivered to your area. We'll have to get back to you. But if not, I don't get back. Could you call back later?" And now he's upset. And I would, if there was a second paper here in the desert, I would have told him to take that paper and do with, you know, whatever they can do with it.
Wow.
He called back the Monday after Christmas, between Monday that New Year's, and another person answered, very, very apologetic for what happened, and "Oh yes, we'll be," and he had the paper the next morning. But the moral, Dick, is that this paper was very comfortable putting an untrained, rude young lady on the phone. And if they had any bit of competition, they would have lost that business, and they would have lost my business, because I would have canceled my subscription. You can't put your lowest paid employee as your face for your customer,
Right.
for your company, and that's what too many people did. Too many people do. So anyway, that's my feedback on Dick's stories.
That's absolutely right. You know, and you know, we talked earlier when I was working. I had an administrative assistant who was just tremendous, but she tended to be an overprotective gatekeeper for me. And our company's philosophy was you answer your own phone, and you don't ask who's calling and things of that nature. So I'd pick up my phone ring. If I wasn't on, I'd pick it up, and no matter who it was, I would talk to him. But I sat down with her one time. I said, "Listen," I said, "I appreciate what you're trying to do, but that's not what I want you to do, and it's not what the company's culture is about. We answer our own phones. We don't ask who's calling. We don't screen. And and when you answer that phone and you say, 'Hi, this is Marilyn,' your people are calling for me. You represent me, and you're the first voice they hear. And if they get turned off, that's not good. So I want you to change that part of what you're doing. Just let the calls come. Then I'll answer them. We also had a commitment that we would call back everybody within 24 hours, or actually, no, before the end of the workday, who calls, even if it was a stockbroker that we knew was trying to, sell us something. We'd call back and say we're not interested because we believe that you should do that type of thing. And our employees, and at one time, at that time, we maybe had like 1,300 employees. That was the culture that we ingrained in our company. When you called Marshall, you never got my Telm was calling. If he's, that type of thing. So you have to have everybody, and like you say, you can't have your lowest level person answer your phone without the proper training. And I think that's an important, very important thing. So, and by the way, like I mentioned before, I just wanted to wish her well. She just had a heart transplant a week ago, and she's doing quite good. So I'm very happy about that. So
that's crazy.
Very good.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, my best. One of my favorite memories is Southwest Airlines, and I forget where I was going. It was a bit of a jump cross country, I think, at the time, and the employees are obviously phenomenal.
Right.
And they did a impromptu game, a guessing game, and whoever won some things, right? So, and they would ask people, do you have one of these twisters or questions or trivia things you want to say? Well, one guy on the very front of the plane said, okay, I want the speed of light in a vacuum. And I raised my hand. Obviously, that guy was an engineer trying to win the. If he stumped anybody, then he got the prize as opposed to.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so I raised my hand and I said, "Do you want it in miles per hour or meters per second?" And I said, "It's 186,282 miles per second in a vacuum." I won a bottle of wine.
All right.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. Southwest Airlines,
Yeah.
And you're right, Frank. Some of those experiences, it's an experience.
Yeah.
There you go.
I remember another time on Southwest where we started our rollout, which is after you taxi to take off and you're rolling off down the runway, and all of a sudden they started pounding the feet, chugga 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 chugga, and it was funny because it was like a train, woo-hoo, and they took off, and it's like, who does stuff like that? What a fun group of people to go fly with,
Right, and I think we all share that. They have since let you print your boarding pass and all, but we all share that experience of hating to get there so you're in the first wave of 1 to 30, so you don't get stuck in the middle somewhere. But we all did it. I would fly in because of the experience, and I think they identified their competition was not the other airlines, it was the automobile. It made a lot of sense. If you're in Dallas, you go to Houston, you say, geez, I can fly there for $49. It's going to cost me more of that to drive there. So, but yeah, it was always once you got in your seat, it was always a fun experience. From there on, and they're on time. I always marveled. They would turn around a plane coming in and landing in 20 minutes. Which and it just blew my mind because the major airlines, it takes them 45, 50 minutes to turn a plane around. But that's how he made his profit. They were always in the air. They weren't sitting on the ground.
I think they have the best on-time record too. I haven't looked for a while, but I think
I haven't looked for a while. They used to.
They were up there. Yeah, they were up there.
Herb Kelleher had a protege named Dave Needleman that he brought up and taught him the ropes at Southwest Airlines.
Yeah.
And he put Dave in charge, and it didn't work out. And he had to let Dave go, which really hurt him. So Dave went and started his own airline, which revolutionized the travel business just like Herb did.
Yeah.
He called his airline JetBlue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and JetBlue. No, Dave had the same problem with JetBlue. He had the problems with the thing. And so Dave left JetBlue, and Dave is now living in Brazil. He has an airline called Azul, which is blue in Portuguese. Mm-hmm. And he's doing the same thing in the Brazilian airspace that JetBlue did in the U.S. airspace.
Yeah.
But again, and the point of this is the fact that they're not selling air travel; they're selling an experience. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I loved JetBlue.
Yeah,
I love JetBlue, and if I ever go to Brazil, I love to fly Azul and see how they're doing it.
now,
And
why do you? I haven't flown JetBlue. What's your experience with them?
every seat there's only one class of seats. Every seat is a leather seat. There's no business class and night type of thing. They don't serve meals. They have free snacks. They have free TV, live TV, direct TV that you can watch, as opposed to having to read the Sky magazine.
And that's every seat. Every seat has that.
Every seat has that at no additional charge.
Yeah.
Wow. And again, now this was when the Deltas, and cause I flew a lot. I was a Delta frequent miler, million miler there. Where the Delta was charging you for this and charging you for that. JetBlue says, "Come on board, everybody's the same." They had leg room, they had leather seats, and they had free drinks. And I remember the chips and the stuff that they had, and biscottis, and you couldn't wait to get on. And if you're watching a good show, you hope the plane wouldn't land too soon because you want to finish watching your show, whether it was live news, sports, or regular TV. Anyway, that was JetBlue, and everybody was treated special because there was no difference in class, and that was cool. And their prices were extremely reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. JetBlue, right, Dick? I mean, you flew them, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're now doing direct flights into the Palm Springs Airport from Kennedy.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Really? Yeah. Non-stop?
Non-stop.
I did not, because I used to fly them into Long Beach because they had a couple of gates in Long Beach when I lived in Orange County.
Yeah. Non-stop coming and going back is you go to San Francisco and non-stop to Kennedy. The reason I know is my daughter was looking at flights to come out and visit us in the spring, and that's what she found, and the price was really very good.
Yeah, and the experience was even better.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. We probably should make a disclaimer. They are not sponsors of our show.
Sponsors. I do not own any shares. I don't own any shares in JetBlue.
By the way, and to sponsor, all they have to give us is some free flights. We love to have them sponsors.
Yeah. There you go. The important piece of this, for 2015, I think, heading into our next segment is certainly your company, is your website. What kind of experience is it?
Yeah.
And that I think is one of the this is an untold turn here, but a website is just as much as an experience as anything else is, and so it's a gateway into your company. And I think Frank, you kind of brought it up. It's an experience, and so one of the big questions is, what is your experience? What do you want your experience to be?
Yeah. Right. And I
so
think.
Dick, on that note, tell us about the new Legal Shield app. Talk about experience.
Right. Yep. About a month ago, Peter made we were talking, and he said, I feel as though I have Peter's a member and an associate with Legal Shield, and he said, I feel like I have my attorney in my wallet. And I started using that and talking to people, saying, because I thought it was just a very descriptive term, that it was accurate. So a couple weeks ago, Legal Shield came out with an app that you now say, I have my attorney in my cell phone, in my smartphone. And I don't know if you can see if I hold this up, can you see what that says there?
Yeah, back it up just a little bit. I'll bring it forward again. It was better that way. Yeah, but now there you go.
Okay. All right. What this is an app for all members. And on it there are 4 buttons. The first one is call your provider law firm. You hit that button, you go right to your provider law firm, and you get access to your attorney. The second button is call your IDT advisor. That's identity theft with Kroll, and you hit that button. If you have a question about identity theft, if you want to talk about how to protect yourself, or if you're a victim, you call that and you get answered right away. And then there's another button that says call member services. If you have a question, you press that and you'll get a customer service representative in Ada, Oklahoma. It will help you. The fourth button is in red, and it says emergency legal access. Now this will give you access to legal advice 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. If you hit that button, you're guaranteed within 7 seconds to have someone answer it, no matter where you are, no matter what time of day it is. And that's for, if you're out and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you get in an accident, you get stopped or whatever, you press that button and you'll get a human voice helping you. You won't get a recording, say press 1, press 2, you'll get a human voice. I think this is a tremendous, tremendous app, and I actually used it yesterday. I was having a dispute with the California Toll Roads Bureau. I was going on Orange County. I used the toll road, and I didn't have the thing that pays it. But when I got back home the next day, I paid the toll. They told me to do it. And all of a sudden, I get back from my trip east for the holidays, and I open up the mail. I got a bill for $411 for the toll road.
No kidding.
Yeah, a $9.95 toll. So I called him up and I said, "Do you mind telling me what this is about?" He said, "Yeah, well, you didn't pay your toll, and that's what you owe now. If you don't pay by this date, it's going to be more." I said, "I paid my toll, and I have proof of it, and I'm not going to pay you a penny." And she's going on, "Well, we don't have a record of it." I said, "Well, I have a record of paying you, and I'm going to call my law firm." And I did. I pressed the button. I got the law firm, explained the whole thing, and they said, "Do you have your receipts?" And I paid it online, so I printed it off and sent to them. And lo and behold, about 5 hours later, they called back and said, "Oh, by the way, we found your payment. You don't owe us anything." So that's. I just hit the button. I had a lawyer on the phone, right away. It was just amazing.
I didn't realize you could just blow through that and then pay it later.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I realized, because when I'd been on it before, they had the toll booths. You pay when you get off.
Right.
Yeah. Now they don't have toll booths. So I we're going down to visit a friend in Irvine. So we went when I got to her house. I said, let me use your computer a second. I checked, and there's a way to pay it. So I said, let me just get the return trip, and I'll pay them both when I get back. Because you have I think you have a week or 30 days or something like that. So I did that, and I paid online, so I was able to show the transaction. But 400. It was, I think it was like $7 in tolls. They wanted me to pay them $411. I said, "Are you nuts?" I said, "No, there's no way I'm paying that." But
I didn't realize you could do that. That's pretty cool. I'll have to do that.
Yeah, and also if you on another page is a couple of more buttons on how my legal plan works, how my identity theft plan works, about Legal Shield, and help with auto accidents. So if you're in an auto accident, you hit that button. It'll kind of give you the guide to walk through what you have to do and what you should say and not say and that type of thing. So this is a free app to all members of Legal Shield, and it's a great tool. I now have my attorney in my smartphone and my wallet.
Which might be in your pocket.
Yes, in my pocket. I have my attorney in my pocket. That may sound a little corrupt.
I know it might be the right place to put your attorney. I don't know, but and on that note too, I have a friend that got arrested, misdemeanor, but he was tricked into letting them search his car, and so he had I think it was a Tahoe at the time, and anyway. They asked, "Do you mind if we search your car?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do." And he goes, "Well, then we can, take you downtown and do all this other stuff." And he said, "Okay, you can search my car, whatever." And the cop stood there and pulled out a smartphone and went to Google and Googled secret compartment in a Tahoe.
Wow.
And it showed him where a secret compartment is. And he got him out of the vehicle, went right to the secret compartment, and found a gun.
Oh my God!
Think that out. Now that's the time you push the button. I'm going to talk to my lawyer.
Right. Well, there's a story of a member of Legal Shield that got stopped, and and the cop said, we want to search your car, your car, and the client said, "Well, I'm going to call my attorney," and the cop laughed. He said, "You're going to call your attorney? You're going to get it?" He said, "Yeah." He called the emergency service, got the attorney, told what was going on, and then the guy said, "Let me talk to the cop." put the lawyer on. The cop said, "Okay, I know we're not right," but gave him back the phone, and let the guy go.
And that, and talking about experience now, Legal Shield is starting to understand that it's an experience.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and that's a big.
Right. It's peace of mind. It's peace of mind. It's it's a lot of things. It's not a legal plan. It's a lot of other things that go with it. So. And
So did you have another? Did you okay? You didn't have any more on entrepreneurship or anything?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, let's open it up. Let me see. How do I start that? It's funny, Dick. We talked about we went black at the bottom part of December, and you said, "Hey, we shouldn't do that," and people should keep working and whatnot. Well, after the first of the year, everybody starts rethinking their business, so to speak, right? And I'm seeing shades of it all over the place. And in that rethinking, I've talked to a couple of people and come back to, what's your website look like? What's that experience? And understanding that a website is a gateway to your business and your philosophy of your business. And is there anything more important than, and maybe Frankie can weigh in on this, what is your business all about? Core questions you need to ask, to reset, retool your business. Do you have any thoughts on that, Frank, and what they should be asking?
I've been giving this a lot of thought, and in fact, I've written some stuff up on it. When people go online, but I don't know we're going to talk about this. I'm glad I got this here. Whether they do a Google search or they click on your website, they want three things, in my opinion. Okay, three things. They want to be enabled. I want to learn something that's going to help me do something that I couldn't do before I learned it. Okay, enabled. They want to be enlightened. I never thought of it that way. Wow, interesting. Yeah, okay, I can see what you mean by that. Enabled and enlightened. And you know what the third thing they want is? They want to be entertained. Not Jerry Seinfeld entertainment, but intriguing, fascinating. Tell me a little bit more, that kind of thing. They want to be enabled. They want to be enlightened. They want to be entertained. You know what they normally get? I'm glad you asked. They get basic stuff that is bland and boring. That's what they get. Basic stuff. Your clients don't need you to get educated. They can get educated through Google or Bing or Yahoo without you. They need to tell them what the education can do for me. They don't need bland. Most people say, well, I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't want to turn anybody off, so I won't turn anybody on. That's bland. And say, well, I want to be very professional. I want to have an A, then I want to have a B, then I want to have a C, and they're writing in a monotone voice like I'm talking right now, and within 7 seconds I'm going to click you off. Your website is your show. Your website is you. It's you. And if you want to talk, well, don't forget, 1 and 1 equals 2. What? I already knew that. Why are you telling me this, right? Oh, well, you could look at it this way, but some people look at it this way, and I can help you with this way. Baloney, okay? You talk about, by the way, Peter, I love that story. You talked about that artist with the hair.
Oh, right, yes.
Hair. He has a very distinctive point of view. And we can talk about this. I don't want to do that. We can talk about that later some other time, but I love that story. But website, it's got to enable me if I'm going to visit. It's got to enlighten me with stuff I didn't know or a new perspective. And don't bore the hell out of me because you're not the only website in the world. If you were, you'd be like that paper for my in-laws. If I don't get the paper, I won't have a paper. You have competition. So that's what I believe your website should do. And the other thing I want to talk about, and Dick, thank you for showing me that app. Because I know you showed it Tuesday morning. I didn't pay attention to it because some guy really upset me in our meeting, and it bothered me all the whole meeting.
Well, I got to hear that after.
You know who. You and I know who.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, that's another story. Uber, and what I thought about when you were showing me that app was Uber.
Uber's got an app.
People now want to push a button
right,
and get a response and get an answer. They want to get enabled, enlightened, or entertained, whatever it is, right? They want to get results.
Right.
Legal Shield, congratulations. That is awesome. They don't have to go to a computer. They don't have to go to their Safari on their iPhone, get Google, type in Legal Shield, get the 82 ads, push the button, go to the website. When they go to the website, they look at the home page. They look at the home page, they say customer services. Right? This is all the stuff you have to do.
Right. Yeah.
Yours, I click on the app, I click a button, hello, 7 seconds. That is awesome.
Think this out a second. You know, our sponsor is obviously Charlie Maroney's in India, right? What if there was an app that I wanted to talk directly to whoever their person is at Charlie Maroney's to see what the special is today?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Push a button. It calls them. They answer. What do you want? What do you need? Oh, you know, what's your soup today? Oh, we have the 3-bean or the clam chowder, and so we have this new special too. You know, we have the new special drinks, and they start a dialogue. Can you imagine how fantastic that would be?
Right. If you take another step, for if someone wants to place a takeout order,
right?
That app, boom, they're right in the takeout order.
Takeout order. I want to reserve my table at noon.
Yeah.
But that whole concept of being able, you know, to pick up and talk directly to a lawyer, in an app, talk directly to the customer service representative or whoever that is, and immediately build that relationship. Boy, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me. I'm going to make a statement. You guys tell me if I'm right or wrong. I read this and I think it's true. People spend more time on their smart device than they do on their desktop, whether it be a tablet or a smartphone. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, okay, if you could only choose one, Mr. Engineer, you could only choose one. You can't say, well, I want them both. You could only choose one. An app on a smartphone or a website on a desktop, which would you choose?
App on a smartphone.
There you go. Thank Legal Shield. Man, Dick, I am very impressed with your company. That is awesome.
Hey, you know, another thing I did this last week, I was down in San Diego, as you all know, I'm consulting down there, and so I have this Chinese food restaurant that I've been going to for over 30 years. Now, that's a hell of a statement, right, in itself?
Yeah.
I walked in, and the same woman that I've been dealing with for 30 years is standing there, and she smiles, and she says, how is it that you never look old? Like, white beard. She goes, you don't seem to age. And I said, it's your food. That's how. And everybody's watching this banter back and forth, and I'm sitting down, and she goes, I'm sure you want this, and I got that for you. She knew everything I want. Do you think I'd go anywhere else for Chinese food? Anywhere else? Heck, no. You know?
Plus, it's good.
Yeah, it's very good. I actually took some pictures and sent it around.
By the way, let's go back to that app thing. Because my wife's birthday is next Tuesday, and and my wife and I prefer a certain kind of food, and my wife and I, we don't do gourmet. If it has a tablecloth, we don't eat there because we like regular types. Anyway, so I'm taking her out to that, and I know we're going to take her out to the Cheesecake Factory down here in Rancho Mirage, and she loves that. Imagine if when we're leaving, it'll be my in-laws will be with me. If I had an app, I said push Cheesecake Factory, and I said, "What's your wait time right now?"
Yeah.
I can be there in 20 minutes.
Right.
Put my name in.
Right. Absolutely.
Would that be awesome?
Yeah.
No. I do that, and somebody says, "Well, do we want to go to the Cheesecake Factory?" You know what I would say? I already got my name in. We've got to go to the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
They would get my commitment before I got in my car.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. No, the possibilities are endless as far as what you could do with it.
There you go. Yeah. By the way, Cheesecake Factory, that was free. Give me a free appetizer when I go there next Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. But, I've been coming full circle back around. What we're talking about is an experience with your company, whether it's a restaurant or Legal Shield or otherwise, or InfoCart, it's the experience. And I've had clients, email me with a problem, and I pick up the phone and call them right away, and I go, wow, what service? Mm-hmm. Well, that's what it's all about,
Absolutely.
And immediately almost dropping everything to take care of somebody who has an issue. that needs help. They don't want to wait for help. They want to queue up for help. They need it right now. And I think that a lot of people lose sight of that, for sure. Yeah, but
I think.
Sorry, go ahead, Dick.
No, I was just going to say I think it's evolving every year into services. Good service is a rarity nowadays. So
it almost seems like it goes in cycles, Dick. Like they everybody's about service, and then pretty soon they forget about it. They go back to shareholders, like Frank was, talking about. Shareholders are first, and you go to jail if you don't take care of shareholders. But it reminded me of a story when I was in college. I went into the bacteriology. Teacher, Bac T is really a tough class, and I said, "What's it take to get an A in this class?" Thinking, well, maybe he's going to tell me about this and field trips or something. I don't know, but he said, "Just learn the material. The grade takes care of itself."
Yeah.
And it's just true. It's so true. I mean, even if you just take care of your clients, the rest takes care of itself. Shareholders love you, clients love you, business does well. Take care of your clients.
When you go and try to find out what is the root cause of your issue, instead of putting a Band-Aid on it, you're always going to come out ahead of the game. It may take you longer. There may be a little bit more pain. The Starbucks guy, found the root cause and said, "I'm shutting down my business worldwide for 3.5 hours." That was to attack the problem, and they bounced back and are doing well. We're too often, from our government to our personal lives, we don't look at what is the root cause of the problem and then fix it. We just jump in the middle and say, "Okay, I'm going to do this," and it doesn't solve the problem.
Going back to Howard Schultz, because I said I read his book, and I'll read it again, because thanks to you, Dick, because I'm intrigued now. I'll go back and do it.
Yeah.
When he left, the company was doing extremely well, and the economy was doing well, and they brought in a CEO, and his CEO says, "Oh, I see the problem. It's taken us too long to turn around the coffee orders."
Yeah.
So he had the baristas turn their back to the customer to be more efficient, to save 3 seconds here, 3 seconds there, and the coffee was delivered faster. But you know what was missing? The experience.
The personal.
Right, and the interaction of like when I go, and I go to a Starbucks every Friday. Anyway, go there. When the baristas made the say, and they have my name because I have one of those card things. "Hey, Frank, how's it going?" So forth, and it's almost like walking into Cheers. No, they know my name because my name's on the card. They don't know me.
Right.
But I feel good. I feel good. So efficiency cost them business.
Yeah.
And Howard says baloney. He lowered the barista stand so that people could see over the barista could see over the machines, and he says we're going to deliver a little bit slower. And anyway, so getting back to the experience again, and putting your customer first.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Dick. Go ahead.
I was just going to jump in to get back to what you started. Starting the new year, reviewing your website and setting goals or whatever. And when we talked about shutting down and all, I've always been if it's 3 weeks before the holidays, if you start getting the holidays, you have guaranteed you're going to get nothing done. And if you wait until January 1st to start setting your goals and plans, you're going to be a month behind because it's going to take a while. I always like to use that time, a couple weeks before Christmas, right through the New Year, to set my agenda for going forward. Which you and I talked about back in Connecticut. I was working on my plan and goals for this year, and I come the first work day of January, I started implementing them. So that was my only point. Is I think too many times, small businesses in particular say, well, nothing's going to happen because it's Christmas. And maybe nothing's going to happen, the normal vein, but you can make a lot of stuff happen behind the scenes. That was my point.
Yeah, I'm still stuck in the aerospace mode where we shut down, days in front of Christmas, and we don't come back until after January 1.
Yeah.
And I usually redo everything between Christmas and New Year's because I don't believe much happens between there. And I actually, this year I didn't do it though. I didn't implement it. I usually go ahead and put up everything so that it's all up come January 1.
Yeah.
But didn't do that.
You were talking about planning, Dick, and Peter, I see on your emails, a failure to plan is a plan to fail, or something worse to that effect,
Yeah,
right?
the plan is the plan to fail. You haven't seen
Right.
my new one yet, I guess.
Okay. Well, and I was thinking about that, and I read this, and this is not mine. I'm stealing it from somebody. The best time to plan is when you've got ample amount of time to execute and do your plan. You know when the second best time to plan is? Today.
Mm.
Today. If you haven't done it when you should have, today is better than tomorrow.
By the way, I got, one of the guys is trying to start a business IT group, and I keep beating him up because he hasn't done much, and so I'm over at Office Depot and buying stuff, and I'm standing in line, and right behind me, actually, the guy shifts over to the next register. He's got a virus in his computer. Now, perked my interest. I was going to try to sell our services, the computer repair company. But I listened to him, and he says, "Yeah, I've got issues with my business computers as well. Can you guys come out and look at that?" And he goes, "No, you can bring them in, but we don't go out." Okay, they got scheduled to bring them in, and I'm going, here is a classic example. Had you just executed your business IT plan, you could have grabbed people like that.
Yeah.
Well, then I turned around and go over. I bought Dick lunch at Charlie Maroney's, and it was a wonderful experience. Dick, wasn't it?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, the food was phenomenal.
Service was
The
great.
service great, and we had a really good, impactful business meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and the service weaved in and out, never really bugging us,
No.
and we were talking high level stuff and marketing this and fundraising and all kinds of stuff, and it's experiences like that keep people coming back. So if there's anything we have to say for this particular podcast is, what is the experience with your company? And it is,
Right.
Is it what you really want it to be? And if not, fix it.
Fix it.
Yeah, fix
That's
it.
a great point, Peter.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys.
And one last tack on to that, if I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too many people try to follow the Walmart model.
Mm.
We guarantee the lowest prices, or I can do just as good for a little bit less. That's wrong. There's always somebody that's bigger than you, that has a deeper pocket and sell it than less than you. They can lose money if they have to. Amazon has proven that. What you should be doing is following the Tony Hsieh, the Steve Jobs model of Tony Hsieh is the guy from Zappos. Model is
Bezos.
right. And their model is, I'm going to charge you more, but you're going to feel so much better after you buy my product. Samsung is the most popular telephone in the world. Apple is the most profitable telephone in the world because Apple sells experience, Samsung sells a phone.
Right. I think it's coming around to, if there's a message, it's about what your experience is.
There you go. People will pay more for a better experience.
Yep. Well, it's just like when I took over the computer repair store. They thought they were in the business of taking viruses out and doing all, and it's not. It's all about customer service. It's about experience, And so, yeah, I think maybe we need to have T-shirts made. It's the experience, stupid.
Yeah.
To quote John Taffer, you're not selling Coronas.
Yep, you're selling experience.
You're selling the experience at your bar.
That's correct.
That's what it is.
All right, guys. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, then say goodnight, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
All right. Well, hang on, guys. We'll stop this.